Well, I think, the timing of Tour of California, at first, maybe seemed like a negative attribute of the race, being in February. But, you look at a lot of big races, even like Tour of Langkawi that has that sort of February date. They've always sort of been able to have a great race and really have some great names there. And honestly, I think that what made Tour of California as big as it was their ability to gain the interest of the Pro Tour teams. I think with Discovery Channel at first and CSC and, Phonak with Floyd, especially when, Floyd wins Tour of California and then goes and wins a Tour de France. I think that takes that race and just puts it on the map big time. We saw that with Tour of Georgia with Lance. Before it was, they were trying to sell it as sort of the new NASCAR to the South, the Dodge Tour of Georgia, like come check it out. It's just like NASCAR. And then before you knew it, Lance did it, won it, and then won the Tour de France for the, umpteenth time. And then bam, all of a sudden the race is huge. So similar situation with Tour of California. You could probably stick that thing in December, throw Lance Armstrong or a big team there. Along comes the media, then along comes the sponsorship, big race, other teams, big money, biggest race on the calendar. So, maybe with the date, it seemed like it was doomed, but, like I said, you put it anywhere at any time and you have the big names there. Big sponsorship, big money, big race. Obviously, a guy like Levi Leipheimer lives in California, has got that race dialed, has won it 2 times and practically 3. That year Floyd won it, he was really good. Had he not had a bad time trial, he probably would have won the race that year as well. So I think that he'll be the prime target, the prime favorite of the race. He's got a great time trial. He knows the climbs. He's a great climber, one of the best riders in the world, motivated. For me, he's the defending champion and he's the favorite. But in terms of other guys, on paper, it's the strongest field you've ever seen. It's a crazy, crazy race, it looks like this year. But you can never count out, because it's so early in the year, you can never count out other guys. It's been a big launching ground for other riders, Bernard Cole and Ricardo Rico, even though they've had sort of a negative past recently. This really was the first race that we saw these guys do something big. You'll remember on Sierra Road, the first year it was Bernard Cole and Rico with Levi that was climbing with him. In fact, better than Floyd. Floyd actually got dropped near the top, but those guys were there. So, obviously they made some mistakes in their career since then, but you have to say that was definitely a race that they were able to showcase their talent. The next guy we saw, Robert Gesink, and he came out. No one had heard of him. Climbed up Sierra Road with Levi. Bam! All of a sudden, almost won Paris-Nice. Now a true favorite. Now everyone's talking about him, next Grand Tour champion. So this year, you can look down the list. You see Floyd, you see Lance, you see Levi, you see guys like Yanni Brajkovic, you see all my teammates. Obviously big riders, but I think you need to look even closer at some of the other teams, and it could be a big coming out party for some other guys. The stages of the 2009 Tour of California look, phenomenal this year compared to years past. Thankfully, the promoters have decided to throw in some climbs. I think it's funny, in the years past they said, oh, well, it's too early in the year, we don't want to make it too hard. I'd have to say one of the hardest days on my bike ever was the year, I was racing for Levi. 2007 Tour of California was just some simple stage, rolling hills, and Stuart O'Grady was in a break with Mike Rogers, and there was 9 of the world's best time trialists ahead, and it was me and Basso and George and these guys chasing them all day, and I probably averaged 300 watts that whole stage for 4 hours and almost passed out 10 times, and had there been some climbs that stage, I think it would have been a little bit easier, honestly, because other people would have been dropped and the breakaway probably would have dropped guys out of it. So the race is as hard as the field wants to make it. And thankfully for guys like, climbers and like myself and stuff, I appreciate seeing the climbs there, because that makes it a little bit more of an interesting race for me. But it looks hard on paper, the stages. I think that that'll definitely eliminate a lot of people out of the race. But then again, it'll make the race a lot more unpredictable and exciting for the viewers and for the fans. I think that you'll see even, you know, some of the flatter stages start out with 4 hard climbs, and then it's flat. You know, okay, people say, oh, sprint finish, but, you know, let's look back to the Tour of Missouri, you know, the day that the shit hit the fan for our team and Columbia threw all their cards out. You know, there was 12 guys at the finish of a 3-hour stage that was rolling. So, I mean, if you know, we're in the Jersey and Columbia and Astana and whoever else starts throwing the tax on those early climbs, the peloton could be in pieces everywhere and it's not going to come back together, you know. So even the flat stages, you know, even like the Modesto stage could have crosswinds. The Sierra Road stage, okay, it's so far from the finish, but if everyone goes crazy up that first climb and then the climb after it, could be in pieces, and one group chasing another all day makes it difficult for the guys in the back to catch back on. So I'd say that there's 2 different races. There's going to be the race for the overall, and then there's going to be the race people, you know, some people might have to worry about the time cut for sure. You're going to have to do a good time trial, but you're also going to have a strong team, and you're also going to have to be able to climb, and you're also going to be able to have to handle a lot of pain. You know, key stages are obviously, you know, the Santa Cruz day and the Palomar day, but the other stages are just as critical. I think that we could see the peloton just explode into pieces, and then it's going to be how many teammates does each guy have. And then in retrospect to the time trial, you're also going to see tactical things where, you know, guys like Gesink and more of the pure climbers that are at the race this year try to get time on guys like Levi or Zabriskie, or, you know, guys that can really do a great time trial. So you're going to have, you know, teammates working for these guys. You're going to have other team tactics. Rabobank is the sponsor of the race, so Gesink is probably going to be going crazy on those climbing stages. So it's not who does the best time trial and gets over the climb. You know, the team is going to be very important, but also your ability to just ride hard all day. I think that the race is going to be really unpredictable. Like I said, I mean, I think that the team strength of the race or the team strength of the team, you know, is going to determine the race. You know, I think that you obviously have to have some key guys in mind, but you know, it's not going to be till the end of the race, and even the last day, that you can really truly just ride for one guy. You know, I think it's going to be numbers. You know, if Astana's in the leader's jersey going at Palomar, for sure all of our best guys in the time trial or at that point on GC, or even, you know, just a little bit down, are going to be throwing bombs out before that climb, on that climb, and after that climb. So then it's going to be, okay, is Levi in the jersey? Is Horner, is Yanni, is Lance working for, you know, are they going to chase, or are they going to also throw their bomb, you know, with ours and play the card of that, one guy sitting on the other. And we have to do the same thing. We can't really just do a steamroll of the race. You know, I think that the field is too strong. I think that, you know, we're going to need to have as many guys do well in the time trial as possible, as many guys on the top of Bonnie doing as possible, and then play our cards from there. So from what I saw at training camp, we have a super strong team, you know, from the top down. Even guys like, you know, Tom Peterson, who a lot of people haven't really experienced yet or heard of. You know, here's a guy that can really go uphill fast and can ride till he can't breathe or can't go anymore. So a guy like him is going to be super dangerous and a big asset for our team for sure. And then, I mean, I've seen Tyler Farrar climb better and better, and I mean, I think that not for the overall, but, you know, he's going to play an interesting card for some stage wins, and then also I think to help the team in the long run. I mean, I've seen him climb really well, so I think he can do some amazing stuff, stage wins, and then also for our overall. Tyler thrives off that stuff. You know, the better the competition, the harder the race, the better he does. You know, when he's in the hurt locker and when the odds are against him, you know, that's when he decides to step it up. I mean, I've seen Tyler's just an interesting character because, you know, he gets bored so easy with life in general. If it's not spicy, if it's not difficult, if it's so mundane, he needs to make it crazy, you know, like he thrives in that sort of unpredictable, crazy environment. I guess that's what makes a good sprinter, but, you know, just even at training camp, you know, if you just gave Tyler a routine, mundane, you know, activity every day, just do 5 hours, you know, like, no, I mean, he needs to be like, you know, have some kind of like, you know, bonk in the ride, or have a flat tire, or almost crash, or, you know, or have gone out the night before, or, you know, some sort of thing that made it even more hard on his body for them to even like turn on his brain and say, okay, this is worth trying. So if it's so easy, he doesn't really try, but if it's harder than hard, that's when the real Tyler Farrar comes out. And, you know, so like I said, if there's Cavendish and Boonen and the stages are hard and it's crappy weather, you know, Tyler's going to have a big smile on his face and go, you know. Christian is, you know, is in great shape, I think. You know, he lives in Chicago in the winter and doesn't really follow a traditional pro life routine in the off season. But again, I mean, he thrives on that situation. And I think in a sense, mentally, he likes to kind of be behind the 8 ball a little bit, because that at least takes the pressure off. You know, I saw him come to training camp early with me, and I expected him to be, you know, really out of shape. You know, I don't know how he rides in negative temperatures in Chicago, and, you know, but he, to me, I mean, obviously a great rider is able to you know, ride with less fitness and ride into good fitness. So, but I saw him come to training camp with decent fitness and him leave even a lot better, you know. So I think I wouldn't want to put pressure on him. And, you know, his focus is the Tour this year, and rightfully so. He earned it last year. He doesn't need to prove anything in these races. But I would say that, you know, Christian will be a factor in Tour of California, whether it's for the overall or to help a teammate out. You know, he can definitely raise his game at any point in the race and when he needs to. I mean, take last year for an example. You know, he was just about pretty mediocre at training camp, or really mediocre, and then was third in the race. You know, if I think if someone told him, hey, Christian, you're going to be third in Tour of California at training camp, he would have been like, yeah, right, that's a great joke, you know. But he just started gaining fitness and confidence, and you know, he even dropped his chain on Sierra Road, was even further behind the 8 ball, and then somehow brought himself back into the race and then smoked the time trial 2 days later. So I think he'll be great. How I'm going to do a Tour of California is a great question. I don't really know the answer to that, other than, you know, I'll definitely be the best I can be there. Like I said, you know, I have great people around me, everyone from, you know, from the team to my friends. I've had a great off season. I've tried some new things and new training techniques, and I'm really happy with them. My relationship with the team is very good. You know, my relationship with my director is really good. My head is great. Physically, I feel awesome. My weight is low. You know, so if we look at it from sort of statistical point of view, I think that the odds are in my favor to have a good race. We all know racing is unpredictable. That's why we love cycling. That's why we watch it. So I'd say that I'm gonna have a good Tour of California. If it's for the overall, that's great. If it's for a teammate, that's great. But for sure, it'll be a good performance.